Hello YouTube and welcome to another series. This is a review of the program Scratch. It's an easy to use game engine. You don't need to know programming, nothing like that. You can basically just dive in and make the game you've always dreamed of. So yeah, we're gonna have a look at some of the features, what you can do, and how good the program actually is, and also some of its limitations. So we'll open Scratch and get started straight away. This is what you'll be greeted with when you open Scratch. On the top left here is the different types of blocks. Now, blocks are sections of the code that you put together to make a script. Now, these are the control blocks that control the flow of code and when it is run. These are the sensing blocks, so it's things like if mouse down is the key pressed, what is the distance to this, is it touching this colour. The operators are very useful. They're like things like addition, subtraction, multiplication. You can generate random numbers. Variables, we'll get into those later. Motion, so things like moving the sprite, changing the direction, setting its position, and various other things like that. So this script will move the cat 40 steps or 40 pixels. Looks, change the look of a sprite. Now these are the different costumes. It's a costume within a sprite, and you can make as many as you want and it'll change how the sprite looks. So there we've just switched to costume 2. Say things like speech bubbles, I don't really care for them. Now these are different effects, so you can change like the colour there, as we've just done. We can change size and different things like that. Now you can play sound in Scratch. It's got a bunch of inbuilt sounds you can use, but I wouldn't suggest using them. They're quite bad. Pen tool. It's rarely used actually. It's used for like drawing lines. So we're going to make a variable now, and I'll explain what they are. We're going to call this example variable. So variable is something that contains a value. This one contains a numeric value. At the minute it's 0, and we can change the value within a variable, which is why it's called variable, because we can vary it. There we've just changed it to 10. We can change it by a value, so we can add on rather than just setting it to an amount. So change example variable by 5, and then we'll change it by 3, and rightly so, it's changed it to 9 because we've added on 8 in total. You can change it by a minus number to take away. So yeah, that's basically variables. You're going to need a lot of these for a big game. So, I'm going to delete that. Okay, let's start with a script. What do we want our cat to do? Well, you can make it do anything you like really, but I want to control it with the arrow keys so we can move it. Yeah, so these are the if blocks. Anything, the statement you put within, if it is true it'll run the code. If it is false it won't run the code. We'll make another variable just to show you the if block in action. Okay, so example variable will be set to 1, and now we want our if statement to ask, if example variable equals 1, so if that is true, then do what we want. So what will it do? It will change size by 3 times, or 300%. So that was true. Example variable 1 is 1. If it is 1, change to 300%. Fairly simple. Okay, now we're going to get on with what I said earlier, is controlling the movement of our sprite. So we will want to be able to control it up, down, left and right. We're going to do that with the control block when key pressed. So I'm just duplicating this and changing the key. So up, down, right and left. Now, right is increasing the X, left is decreasing the X, up is increasing the Y, and down is decreasing the Y. I should probably know that by now. So we'll change it in blocks of 10. So down, change the Y by -10. So I'm just pressing the different keys and it is working. Look at that. That's amazing. Not really. So let's say we wanted to draw a line. We want the pen down. So just like you're drawing, you're putting your pen down. So when it moves, it'll leave a trail behind it of pen. And then we can forever change the pen colour. So we can make a rainbow effect. The forever is just a loop. It'll keep on doing it. We've drawn a bit of a rainbow there. Let's say we want to make the pen thicker. We'll change the size to 3. That's slightly better. And we can change the colour by a varying amount to make it smooth. So yeah, that's basically the pen tool. Just a quick show of what it can do. There are uses for it. I know it seems quite pointless, but you can do things like you know those games where you can draw a path and things will follow it. You can do things like that. So it is quite dependent on what kind of game you're making, but generally won't really use it. So we're bored of the arrow keys. We want it to follow our cursor. So we get the motion block, point towards the mouse pointer, and move 10 steps. And it's going to do that forever. It's going to look at our mouse pointer and move towards it in 10 pixels. We'll get the same rainbow effect on our pen. And look at that. So it's following our cursor and it is moving. I'm quite pleased with that. And now we're going to take a look at changing the costume. Now the cat has 2 costumes, and they make it, when you change between them quickly, it makes it look like it's walking. It's basically just a little animation you can do. So next costume will forever change the costume to the next one. I don't know if you can see, but the costume is changing and the cat looks as though it is walking. Obviously, if you make your own sprite, you're going to have to make your own costumes. The annoying cat is always there when you open Scratch, I'm afraid. You're just going to have to deal with it. I do. We're going to make a new sprite, just to show you the editor. We can draw circles, we can select areas, fill tool, all the usual stuff. You can have gradient fills as well, which is quite nice. Okay, so that's our sprite made, and I'm going to show off the random number generator now. If an edge bounce is basically when it touches the edge of the screen, it's going to bounce in the opposite direction. So the different directions you can choose from are -90 to 180. That is the full scope. So that means it's going to pick a random direction and it's going to point that way and go that way, but it's going to be totally random, and it's going to do this forever. So do be prepared to watch the circle go crazy. You don't know what it's going to do. As you can quite clearly see, it's going in a random direction at 10 steps for each loop. And we've basically used if on edge bounce because we don't want it to get lost. It's bouncing off the edges, it's going crazy, don't know what it's going to do. Just a drunken circle. Look at it. Honestly. Do we really need drunken circles when we're making a game? No. So we're going to get rid of this circle right away. Honestly, shameful. Getting drunk on the job. Okay, now the circle is all sober. Isn't on drugs anymore. We're going to do something else, which is a sensor block. Now we've made a red sprite, and we want the circle to test if it is touching the colour red. We use the pipette tool to click on the sprite to get the right colour. So, if it is touching colour red, we want it to do something. Now, we can do anything we want really. So I am gonna pick for it to say, got it. As in, I got you, sprite 2, which is what it's called. Got it. Right. Anything that is red on the screen, if it is touching it, this is what it'll do. Got it. And when it does touch the colour red, it's going to stop all the scripts. It's just going to stop everything and say got it. But we want to move it so it will hit that colour. So we're going to point it towards the general direction. Actually, I might just go up on the ribbon and just manually, because along the top you can click and you can change your direction like that. That looks about diagonal. And we want it to move towards it forever. So it'll do that forever, but if it is touching the colour red, it'll stop all the scripts. Wait, look at that. But we want it to say got it for longer than that. It only did it for like a fraction of a second, or whatever it was. So we want it to do it for 5 seconds, say. Now you can click and drag to rearrange the order of the blocks. There we go. Okay, so this has just been a quick look at the scripts. Nothing too complicated, just the very basics, simply. Oh yeah, we can change our background as well. Again, they've got lots of inbuilt backgrounds you can choose from. Got lots of inbuilt sprites you can choose from. But again, I wouldn't use any of them. They are pretty bad. I always make my own in a proper graphics software. But let's say, for complete randomness, not that a monkey does live in the desert, but we're going to pick a monkey. There we go. It's pretty ugly actually. So yeah, this has been part 1 of Let's Review Scratch, the easy to use game engine that everyone can use really. So in part 2 we'll be looking at doing more complex things with the scripts. Although they are quite simple, we can manipulate them and make really quite complex scripts. So make sure you like and subscribe.